Hello friends, and welcome to the Hanged Man in the Moon. If this is your first time here, welcome. Thank you for coming, I'm pleased to meet you. If you've been here before, thank you for returning, I'm truly honored. Friends, this week, after a long hiatus, I've decided to bring back the Melanated Tarot. Do you remember the Melanated Tarot? You can see the box right above my head. See? It's right there. That's the Melanated Tarot. And it's a beautiful deck. I love it. The colors are vibrant. The people are not all the same. It's a Rider-Waite-Smith deck. It's almost a clone, but with melanated skin. And it's lovely. And I've missed it. And so it's back this week. And I'm doing my large spread again after a while because I wanted to. So friends, the spread has been laid, so let's dive right in. So there is the spread. Do you recognize it? And that is the Melanated Tarot. Do you recognize it? Do you have it? If you do have it, I'd love to hear what you think of it in the comments below. How do you work with it? How do you feel with it, working with it? What do you think of the colors? I love them. I love them all. And I'm sorry that it's been such a while since I've used it. And perhaps because it's been quite a while since I have used it, frankly, this spread this time was difficult for me. It was challenging for me. I laid it out and I immediately wanted to reshuffle and lay out a new spread because it was difficult to read. Difficult not because I don't know the meanings, but difficult as in what it was saying was difficult for me. It was difficult to take in. It was difficult to digest, to integrate. And so I had to sit with it for a day or so and really ponder what the spread was trying to say, because it seemed so negative at first, and we're not living a negative life. We're living a life of intention. Our goal, and the question for the deck this time and always is, how can we live life intentionally? What do we want to know when living an intentional life? And the negativity that I saw at first in the reading, in the spread, was confronting. I wouldn't say it was calling me out on my BS so much as it was confronting. Yeah, it wasn't an easy read. So it took time, and I took the time. And let's take some time together and look at it piece by piece and see what it means to us when living an intentional life. So let's look at the first card. So there are a lot of reversals in this spread. And when I laid the first card of the spread and it was the Nine of Wands reversed, I was immediately on guard, which is appropriate, I guess, because that is what the Nine of Wands is. It's on guard, but in reverse this time. So it's kind of a double negative, which in English is a positive, but not so much in this case. The Nine of Wands in this spread is pointing out those times when we are defensive, when we are uncertain, when we feel like we lack the inner resources to move on. And this card reminded me of one of my favorite teachers of the law of attraction. What do you think about the law of attraction? Do you believe in it? To me, that question is like saying, do you believe in gravity? And people who say, well, the law of attraction doesn't work for me, is similar to saying gravity doesn't work for me. It's there, it's working. Whether we like it or not, it's working. But oftentimes, when we want to take advantage of the possibilities that the law of attraction brings to us, we feel like we start getting it wrong. And one of my favorite teachers again is Abraham Hicks. And in one of their most favorite sequences, Abraham is saying, some people come to us and ask, what am I doing wrong? 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 Well, that's what you're doing wrong. Which is what they're trying to say is that, one, we never get things wrong because we never get them done. There is no completion in life. There's no real completion. There are cycles, there is movement, but there's no ending. There's no completion, and there's no perfection. There's always evolution. There's always moving on to the next thing. Things are not complete or ended. They change, they transform, they transmute. And so there's never getting something wrong. There's perhaps lack of immediate success, but it's not wrong. It's just part of the learning process. It's part of the process of evolution and of growth. So, oftentimes when we start the mantra of, what am I doing wrong? What am I doing wrong? That's what the reverse 9 of Wands is saying to me in this spread. It's showing us sometimes we are standing in this place. We are standing in the place of being defensive because we feel like we're doing something wrong. We're not getting it right. And so our stance is we put up our shields. And we start, with our shields up, we start questioning ourselves. We question what we know. We question what is true. We question everything. And in that questioning, we do not gain energy. We do not become stronger. We do not recuperate. We get weaker. And our vision of our future, our vision of what we want to manifest, our vision of the life we are wanting to create also becomes weaker. It's still out there. Our vision of it becomes weaker. And because our vision of it becomes weaker, we become resistant. We resist the power of intention. We resist the powerful force which is trying desperately to carry us forward, but we're desperately moving in the opposite direction. We're desperately trying to stop where we are because we keep thinking we're doing it wrong, we're doing it wrong, we're doing it wrong. And we're not doing it wrong. Even trying to resist is not doing it wrong. It's just not the best possible choice. So the question is, how do we get there? How do we get to this reverse 9 of Wands position? And if we can see how we get there, can we make another choice? So let's look at the first line of 3 cards of this spread. In this line of 3 cards, we see the beginning of the path, a new path in our intentional life. We start with the Page of Wands, and then we move to the Ace of Wands, and then we go to the Four of Cups. All of these are upright. And this line is not really the problem. This is the beginning of a new path of our lives. Now we start as the Page of Wands. We start with inspiration. We start with new ideas and the desire for discovery. We start with our understanding of our limitless potential, which is the truth. We all have limitless potential. Whatever your life circumstance is, even if you are about to die in the next 10 minutes, which I hope you are not, even if you are about to die in the next 10 minutes, you still have limitless potential because life does not end. This body ends, but life does not end. At least that's what I believe. So we always have limitless potential. We also have motivation. Yeah? When we get that inspiration, when we get those new ideas and we're starting to discover things, we naturally become motivated. Yeah, our energy starts to rise, we feel energetic, we feel our passions start to grow, we feel the sprouts on our wand starting to pop up new shoots. Yeah, that's the feeling, like the first blush of spring when trees start to shoot out their buds. That's the feeling of the Page of Wands. And that's what the beginnings of a new path on the continuing life in the intentional life feels like. And then we move on to the Ace of Wands, which is something a little bit more able to grasp. Yeah, it's the first real inspiration. The Page of Wands it's a little diffuse. It's that first spark, the first little embers. The Ace of Wands, we've got something to hold on to, and it's something being offered, perhaps. Inspiration actually directly being offered from our larger selves. It's a new opportunity, perhaps, of growth, potential becoming a little bit more realized. And it feels great, it feels exciting, and our perhaps energy begins to increase, our interest increases, our passion increases. And then we sometimes move into a Four of Cups moment where we see the stuff that we already have. We have this idea for this new thing that we want, and it's being offered to us. It's being offered. You can see in the Four of Cups, there is a hand offering the new cup, the new emotional experience. But the person sitting on the ground is not looking over there. They're looking at the three in front of them, and thinking, yeah, this isn't it. I've already got all these things. Where's the new one? It's a card of perhaps apathy at times, a card of reevaluation, but reevaluation perhaps due to a lack of development or due to disappointment in the past. We've all had disappointments from the time we are born. We've had disappointments. We've had times when we wanted something and it has not appeared for us, and we feel like we have been deprived, though we haven't been deprived because we are still here in these bodies. But we feel that disappointment, and we sometimes, most of the time, carry that disappointment along with us as we live. And part of the process of enlightenment for Buddhists is to shed ourselves of that disappointment and only live in the now. But most of us carry those disappointments with us as memories, and that's perhaps what the person sitting on the ground is looking at. Past disappointments, empty cups, things that I already have, and these aren't what I want to create now. So, why does that happen? Yeah, we say that we know that the powerful force of intention is moving us in the direction of the life we want to live. Then where's the stuff? Where's the lover? Where's the new job? Where's the new house? Where's the more harmonious family that we want to create? Where's the art that we have envisioned somewhere in our minds, but it's just not happening? Where is all that stuff? And it's there in energetic form. But here, for just a moment, let's pause. Like the Four of Cups person is pausing, let's pause and think about what it is that we want. We make a decision. And we make a decision that I want this experience. And we think that it is that experience that we want. We think it is exactly that experience that we want. And holding that experience in our psychic sphere, in our energetic sphere, is what we think is going to move us forward towards creating it, manifesting it into the world. And sometimes we are misunderstanding something. We think it's actually the thing that we're moving towards. It's actually the thing that we are hoping to experience. But the real object is the feeling of the experience. It's what it will create for us in our lives. And sometimes there are two problems, two misunderstandings, shall we say. One misunderstanding is that the thing we think we're creating is not the thing that matches the experience we hope to have. For example, I had a friend. She wanted to move to school A. Yeah? And so she created a lot of law of attraction processes. She went through a lot of law of attraction processes to get to this school. She wrote up business cards with her name and the school. She did a vision board, perhaps, or she did a lot of the normal common processes for working with the law of attraction to get to this school. But actually, it wasn't that school that she really wanted. It was the experience that she thought that school would bring to her. And where she actually went to was school B. It was not school A, it was B. It was farther from her home. It wasn't exactly the technical school that she hoped she would go to. However, this school honestly fulfilled the experience that she really wanted. When she thought she wanted to go to school A, she wanted to have students that were less problematic. She wanted to have classes that were not so stressful. She wanted to have a school environment that was not so harshly competitive, but rather more cooperative. And she thought that's what she would get at school A. She got it at school B. She got it at school B. And perhaps the reason why she went to school B is because maybe school A would not have provided what she thought it would provide. Sometimes we mistake what we think we want. We see some, let's think of something even simpler. You see a dessert on a menu, and you see the picture and you think, I want that. Because you see the picture and you imagine the experience that it will bring you. Yeah? But perhaps when it comes, what you thought were strawberries and you love strawberries were actually cherries and you're allergic to cherries. Or the other way around. Sometimes what we think we want is actually not what we want. We want the experience that we think that thing will bring to us. We want the emotional experience, the growth potential that we think that thing will bring to us. And sometimes we are confused. And what we think we want is actually not what we want, but it's another thing. And it's the other thing that we're actually moving towards. Another possibility is that we want something, and it's offered, but we don't look over there because we don't think it's going to be over there. We think it's got to be over here. So we keep going over here, and we miss the thing that keeps being offered. Or we look at the thing being offered and we think, yeah, but what if I'm wrong again? Yeah, but what if I fail? Yeah, but what if it's not as good as I think it is? The yeah buts sometimes move us away from what is being offered to us. And that is also the Four of Cups experience, the yeah buts. So, we move from the page, the first sparks, the first inklings, the first tingling of a new creation within our life, of a new possibility, of a new adventure. And then something comes into our sphere that makes it a little bit more real. We are offered something. We see something more clearly. And then we go into, but it's not here yet. It's not what I'm thinking. It wasn't what I'm expecting. We go into this, or we don't see it in front of us, and we just keep focusing on what is instead of seeing what is being offered. We get ourselves into this situation a lot. And then we keep thinking, well, what am I doing wrong? 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 So where does this leave us? Where does it lead us? What is the possible next step in this path from the Four of Cups? Let's take a look. In this line of 3 cards, we see the Page of Swords reversed, the 10 of Pentacles reversed, and the Knight of Wands. And so you can tell right off the bat that things are not going very well. Yeah? Have you ever, first, let me ask you, have you ever felt that Four of Cups feeling that I described? Perhaps too much? Have you felt that? Have you felt that what you were expecting or what you were hoping to create just isn't showing up, and all you see is what you already have, and feel dissatisfied with it because the new thing hasn't arrived? Yeah, sometimes that what we feel is unsatisfied expectation colors what we already have and tarnishes what we already have. And so, in those situations, if you've felt that, I know I have, if you have felt that, sometimes we move into the reversed Page of Swords feeling. The reversed Page of Swords can be a few things. Sometimes we move into all talk and no action. Now, frankly, there are times when no action is best. If we're acting out of frustration, if we're acting out of irritation, if we're acting out of, I gotta get it done, sometimes no action is best. But sometimes we just go into talking mode, talking about what's supposed to happen, talking about what has gone wrong, what we think is missing, what we think is disappointing. We go into all talk and not actively trying to move emotionally into another direction. Because the first step is always an emotional step. Yeah? We sit in our Four of Cups feeling and we talk about it without taking the action to move in another direction. And sometimes that causes us to, when we do act haphazardly. Yeah? We take our sword and we start just swinging it around at whatever comes by. We take our mind, we take our thoughts, and we just hurl them in haphazard ways. Sometimes we start feeling impatient and act hastily before we are ready. Sometimes we become very self-conscious and we keep turning inward in that negative, what am I doing wrong? 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 Attitude. Now, the Page of Swords reversed can still be that sword, instead of waving around in the air haphazardly, can be waving back at us, smacking us in the head with, what am I doing wrong? Without effect. Yeah? And so, when we start doing the Page of Swords reversed, we can move into the Ten of Pentacles reversed. We can start becoming perhaps manipulative. Yeah? Well, I want to get what I want, so how can I get what I want? By manipulating things. Sometimes people, sometimes situations, circumstances. Perhaps we instead just sit there in our feeling of failure, in our feeling of loss, of things that we had anticipated and expected and thought we had created, but we don't see in our experience yet. We might also feel disunity in our environments, perhaps with our family, perhaps with our friends, perhaps with our coworkers, perhaps internally. Our internal environment could be disunited. And so, when we get here, sometimes our next course of action is activity. The Knight of Wands, which can often be a very good card. When when we're in a good place, when we're in a positive space and we're full of belief and trust in the universe and we want to write out an act, then the Knight of Wands is the perfect card. However, moving into the Knight of Wands from a place of disunity, of manipulativeness, or of haphazard action, or of self-conscious unhappiness, when we move into action from that standpoint, it becomes a little bit dangerous to ourselves and others. We become driven to succeed at whatever cost. We become aggressive in our passions. We start to charge into situations like a warrior, when that is not the way to live intentionally. Some people live that way and become very successful. Some people live that way and become knocked down, beat up, and cast aside. There's no guarantee, but it's definitely not living an intentional life. When we move into picking up our wand, our baton, our club, and riding into life and knocking everything that's in our way out of our way, we're no longer living intentionally, we're living aggressively. And sometimes we resort to that. Sometimes we resort to that when things aren't going our way, when we feel disunited, when we feel disappointed and dissatisfied. Sometimes we overcompensate, like the Knight of Wands. Have you ever done that? Have you ever gone in club, wielded above your head and saying, "Get out of my way, world, I'm going to do something"? You could have succeeded. You very well could have succeeded. And if you succeeded without damaging anything permanently, I applaud you. But there's a better way. There is a better way. And we'll look at that in a little bit. But first, let's look at the next line of cards. So this line of cards begins with the 8 of Cups in reverse. Notice we have the 4 of Cups upright and the 8 of Cups reversed. Yeah, here. Then we have the 5 of Wands and the King of Wands also reversed. A lot of reversals in this spread, which is why it was difficult for me to read. It was uncomfortable for me to read. So this also, I think, leads from that 4 of Cups moment. Rather than leading from the Knight of Wands, this leads from the 4 of Cups moment, where we're, again, sitting dissatisfied, feeling apathy, feeling like we keep doing things wrong. Yeah? So this line of cards, sometimes we move from that 4 of Cups to the 8 of Cups, which is just walking away. And if we can't just cleanly walk away, sometimes we can move into something better. You know, we can move in the direction of our castle on the hill. But this is reverse. Sometimes we walk away from that 4 of Cups moment, and what we do is, okay, I'm going to try one more time. I know I keep doing it wrong. I know I keep making the same mistakes, but I'll try one more time. I'll do it one more time. And there's a famous saying about doing the same thing over and over again and expecting different results, being the definition of insanity. And I'm not saying that we go insane, really, but oftentimes we keep doing the same thing expecting different results. And that's kind of what that 8 of Cups reversed can indicate. Also, there's another possibility of just losing our power and feeling indecisive, not being able to move in any particular direction, wandering because we don't know where to go, wandering aimlessly, drifting and walking away, but not walking towards something, just walking away. Because this isn't good, just walking away without having digested, without having grown from that moment, that Four of Cups moment. And if we just walk away in our sense of powerlessness, if we just try one more time doing the same thing, expecting a different result, often what that will lead us into is the Five of Wands, which can be playful, can be enjoyable competition, but here I don't think that's the reading. Here we're looking at conflict, disagreements. We go wandering off and we encounter people and we start being a little bit B-word, we start being a little bit bitchy. We start drumming up conflict around us because we're not happy. We get ourselves into disagreements because we're already not happy. We feel like we're rivals of people around us whom we see as perhaps being more successful than we are. And so we start to struggle with them, which will, if we do that from that standpoint, not going into enjoyable competition, but struggle and conflict, will often lead us to the reversed King of Wands, which is poor leadership. And here I'm thinking of poor self-leadership. We are our own leaders. We are primarily our own leaders. And if people follow us, then we're doing a good job of leading ourselves. We don't force people to follow us. We show ourselves to be able to be followed by being able to lead ourselves confidently and with belief and with passion and with joy. That's living an intentional life and leading with the power of intention. But here we see the King of Wands reversed, poor leadership, perhaps having aggressive goals. We walk from the competition of the Five of Wands and our goals become aggressive rather than joyful and inspiring goals. They become aggressive goals, the goals that are, I'm going to get this done, I'm going to do this, come what may, I'm going to do this. We approach what we want in an aggressive attitude. Sometimes our expectations become very high. Now, we can have high expectations. We can have infinitely high expectations, but here what we mean is expectations that something which is we are not ready for, something that we are not ready for is going to appear before us the next moment or the next 5 years, where it will take us more than 5 years to develop into the person who will realize that goal. Perhaps we can become a little bit despotic, a little bit tyrannical, a little bit of a control freak. We move from that competition into wanting to control too much. And living an intentional life is not a life of control. It's a life of free flow. It's a life of moving in joy with the powerful force, the powerful flow of intention. It's not controlling details. It's not being a despot of our environments. It's being allowing of everything to happen as it must happen and will happen and can happen to get us where we want to go. So, sometimes leading from the Four of Cups through our disappointment into conflict, into poor self-leadership, will lead us into being dictators of ourselves and sometimes trying to be dictators of other people. So where do we go from here? Where do these two streams lead us? Where does the line that started with the Page of Swords and the line that started with the Eight of Cups, where do these lead us? Let's take a look. So these two lines lead us to the Five of Cups and the reverse Three of Cups. It leads us to regret, to feelings of failure and disappointment, perhaps strong pessimism and regrets over what we have done and what we have not accomplished, or what we have accomplished, but how we have accomplished it. Yeah? Sometimes we succeed and we don't succeed in a very loving way, and then we feel regret for what we have done to get what we thought we wanted. That is the Five of Cups moment in this spread. Yeah? The Four of Cups can lead us to the Five of Cups. Now, if you look at the Five of Cups, there are three. Remember those three that were sitting in front of the person in the Four of Cups? In the Five of Cups, those three cups are toppled over. But there are two cups behind, standing upright. Perfectly good cups. But we just are staring at those three cups that are spilled all over the ground. Our disappointment, our unhappiness, our regrets. And from there, what we often move into, or which often accompanies it, is the reverse Three of Wands. Sometimes we begin playing small. Yeah, we had these high, amazing ambitions, and then we start shortcutting ourselves, undercutting ourselves. We say, okay, well, I'm not going to take any risks. I'm not going to live that life of adventure that I had wanted, and I'm just going to play it small. I'm going to live a small, unhappy life, but a safe one. Yeah, it's also staying in our comfort zone, not going beyond what we are used to. Now you see the person standing in the Five of Cups. That person is not moving. That person is just staring at that disappointment. That person might need to move beyond, or at least turn around and look at the cups behind them. Again, it can be the Three of Wands can be a card of short-sightedness, that we lose our long-range vision and we become short-sighted. And that short-sightedness sometimes will lead to our losing faith in our ability to live an intentional life. Sometimes we become careless. The Three of Wands reverse can be a card of carelessness. Similar to the Page of Swords reversed, but this is more of a careless passions, yeah? Passions that are not focused, are just here and there. Yeah, that would be interesting. Yeah, that would be interesting. Let's go there, let's go there, let's go there. I don't know. Whatever you think. That kind of carelessness. It can be a card of focusing again on setbacks and our mistakes. There are no mistakes, but we imagine what has happened is our mistake, and we continue repeating. What are we doing wrong? What are we doing wrong? What am I doing wrong? What am I doing wrong? So, friends, is this a foregone conclusion? Is this the only possible outcome of our Ace of Wands moment when we don't see it fully realized in front of our faces fairly instantaneously? It is not. The Four of Cups card is not a card of condemnation. We're not condemned to leading paths of dissatisfaction or aggression. There is another choice we can make. There is always another choice we can make. When we start hearing that voice in our heads, what am I doing wrong? 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 Remember, that is what we are doing wrong. Condemning ourselves for what we see as failure is what we are doing wrong. Looking at what is as being a failure is what we are doing wrong. What we want to do from that point is realize, oh my goodness, I'm doing it. Okay, so I'm not doing anything wrong. First step, I'm not doing anything wrong. This is all okay. Even that thought, what am I doing wrong, was nothing more than a wake-up call. It was an alarm going off. telling me that I need to take a step back. I need to sit in the Four of Cups and regroup, reorganize. I need to let that thought dissipate. I need to let that feeling of not accomplishing something, of not realizing something, dissipate. So that I can see out of the corner of my eye that cup being offered. Because that cup is always being offered. We are always being offered the next step in our path. Because that is what living an intentional life is all about. Belief that the next step is always there if we are open to flowing with our intention. Sitting, looking at what we have, and instead of feeling disappointment, moving into a 9 of Cups stance of being satisfied, trying to reach for satisfaction with what we have accomplished, satisfaction with what we have created, satisfaction in the good stuff that is there, realizing that we can walk away from the things that we do not want. Sometimes we get ourselves into situations that we don't want to experience, things that are violent or sometimes dangerous situations. There are those times. And at those times, we do want to walk away. And we do want to sit. Once we've gotten ourselves to a safe place, once we've found ourselves some space to contemplate, to allow what we have developed within us that has caused us to move into a dangerous situation, that has caused us to be in a hurtful relationship, that has caused us to work for a group of people that are not recognizing our deity, if you will. When we have gotten ourselves into a dangerous spot, we need to get away from it first. Always remember that. We need to get away from it, from that thing that is causing harm to us. And if it's ourselves causing harm to ourselves, we need to put our weapons down and walk away. And then sit. When we are in a safe space, sit like the Four of Cups. And find satisfaction in the good stuff that we have. If you are blessed to have a body that is mobile, that is one thing to be happy about. Even if it's covered in scars and welts, if you still have a body that functions, that moves, that can digest food, that is something to be happy about, something to feel the blessing of. And if you don't have that, can you breathe? Is there air for you to breathe? Is there water for you to drink? Now, some people don't have that water. There are some of us who do not have that water. And then we have another discussion. Then we have an entirely discussion which is not part of this video. But if you have water to drink, if you have food to eat, if you have found a safe space to sit in, we can find joy in that. And once we get that spark of joy, once we've moved away from disappointment and fear and anxiety, and we can find the beginning taste of satisfaction, then we're not going to move into the Page of Swords reversed. We're not going to move into the 8 of Cups reversed. We're going to move in an entirely different path. We're going to start feeling our resistance cracking open. And if we can start following that sense of joy, following the path that our satisfaction is leading us, we can move in an entirely different direction. We can start following our intention. We can start flowing with the current, the river, the powerful river of intention that is always with us, even when we're getting beaten up. And I've been beaten up before. Emotionally, physically, I've been beaten up before. Even when I was being beaten up in the dark, when I had a gun pulled on me in the dark, the flow of intention was still with me. Though I was not flowing with it, though I was resisting it, it was there. I know it was there. And so I am here, talking to you, in this room, very safe room now. And able to move, sometimes more freely, sometimes less, with the power of my intention. So friends, remember, we all get into that state. We all get to the point of asking ourselves, what am I doing wrong? What am I doing wrong? What am I doing wrong? Well, remember, it's okay. It's okay to have that thought. It's okay for us to realize that we've been carrying that thought as a mantra for a minute, an hour, a week, a year. But we can always think a new thought. And we can always open ourselves again to the power of intention. So friends, I'd love to hear from you. Have you ever felt that tape playing in your head? What am I doing wrong? What am I doing wrong? How did you break that loop? How did you cut that loop? How did you move aside or away from that space? What did you do? Or are you still in that space? Are you still beating yourself up with, what am I doing wrong? I'd love to hear from you. I'd love to engage with you. Because this is so common for all of us, I believe. You're not doing it wrong. I'm not doing it wrong. So friends, let me know. And feel free to like this video if you got some value out of it. Share it with someone who you think might benefit from it. Hit the subscribe button if you feel called to, and hit the bell so you get notified when I do upload videos. And friends, as always, there will be a little bit of information about this deck, the Melanated Tarot, the creators, and below there will be a link where you can go to buy the deck if you haven't already gotten it. I recommend it very highly. And friends, as always, I wish you love, joy, well-being, and pure awareness. Thank you.